Hello everyone, I'm Chester44, Australian Spy, and welcome to this Let's Play of Citizen Sleeper 2. Last episode, we gathered up the ship mind we needed and used it in order to try and find out what was going on. Apparently, the stabilizer that was put inside us was laced with something that is now causing our body to be changed, and the one who told us about it has no idea how to stop it. With nothing else to do, I suppose now we just have to head elsewhere, explore and find something. For now, though, let's go ahead and fill up on fuel. I'll use up these dice in order to, I guess, take care of things here. I don't need to buy engine components, we have plenty. Not keen on the loss of energy. But hey, extra raw scrap is pretty nice. I imagine. That's everything there. So with nothing else we can do here, I suppose now we should head out. We don't have anything else. I'm going to make our way to Holm's Rock, and from there to Wellspring. On to Holm's Rock. Let's see what's at this new location. Sleeper? Bliss speaks quietly from the door at the back of the cockpit. Can we talk? You glance over at Seraphin, his head back and eyes closed while the rig cuts through the empty space. You don't seem to be needed here. You unclip from your harness and follow Bliss. How are you doing? Bliss glances over their shoulder as they drift towards the back of the ship. The question takes you aback. You can't remember the last time anyone had actually asked with real intention how you are. I'm feeling rough. Bliss shoots you a concerned look. To be honest, Sleeper, I'm not sure how you are still standing. Breaking out of Darkside, then again in Hexport, those things take a toll. Bliss turns a corner. So I think it's okay to feel rough right now. Bliss leads you off the main corridor into the workshop where they set up when they repaired the ship. It is small, but its neatly arranged tools and sloped walls help it feel cozy and tucked away. You see improvements everywhere, new tools and equipment. Bliss notices you looking at their upgraded setup. I told you I'd be worth taking along. Never doubted it. Bliss raises an eyebrow. Well, that's a lie. Feels good to hear, though. Anyway, I didn't bring you here to brag. Or, at least not just to brag. They suddenly glance away, the atmosphere in the room shifting. I can see your body is showing the strain, Sleeper. I brought you here so we could do something about that. They beckon you towards the workbench, where you both settle onto stools. They flick on a small light and aim it at your arm. Let them look. Bliss gently cradles your arm, turning it to inspect the underside. You see tears and holes in the vinyl skin and dark, moving things beneath. Watch Bliss work. You look as Bliss brings the light closer to the biggest tear and it glints off the metallic tendons in your forearm. Below them, you see something more fluid and wet catching the light. You know, you aren't the first sleeper I've met. Bliss talks while they inspect the rest of your arm. I actually partnered with one at my old repair bay on the Eye. In the first game. Feels like 100,000 cycles ago now, but I remember them. Their precise work, their quiet enthusiasm. There was something calming about their presence. Bliss swaps to your other arm. They were different to you, just like one person is different to another, I suppose, but I can't help but remember that time. I was a different person then, that's for sure. They meet your eye. I'm going through something of a transformation myself. What do you mean? Bliss lays both your arms down and leans forward to inspect your upper chest, adjusting to the light. I was pretending before, I think, to be the person I was expected to be. They press along the hard protrusion of your clavicle. There were so many calculations I was making, so many corrections. How I held myself, how I spoke, how I reacted. They push gently against each of your metallic ribs one at a time. I didn't realize how tired I was until I gave up. I came here to the belt with someone else, And when I did, I realized this was my chance to become something new. So I let go of everything. They look away. It was messy, ugly, and the person I came here with, I let them go too. I was punching out at everything because it felt like everything was holding me back, stopping me from for the change I was owed. Don't worry, I'm calmer now. I'm not about to explode on you or anything. It's still a difficult process, but it feels like shedding 100 suffocating skins that you spent half your life putting on, one by one. It feels like an escape. They lean forward again and check the skin of your shoulders, where it is worn and faded. You let them, the atmosphere quiet but calm in the workshop, a feeling of solidarity growing somewhere in your frame. You know, I did kind of notice that. Bliss was referred to as she in the last game, and now Bliss is being referred to as they. I don't know if that means they're in the middle between transitioning from female to male, or if they're actually just going with being non-binary now. I'm not sure. Not bad, Sleeper. You're holding up well, given everything. Bliss folds her arms in front of them protectively. But I'm still concerned. There's some decline to your system functions. Let's keep an eye out for components. Thank you, Bliss. It's no problem. They release from the stool and drift over to a rack of tools. I owe you for jolting me out of whatever my life had become on the far spindle. You leave Bliss to their workshop, feeling reassured that you have them here on the ship. As you do, you think of your relationship to your own body, this frame that you were forced into that has never quite felt like your own. You realize that this feeling is not unique to you. No one gets to choose their body. Everyone has to contend with the entropy of their flesh. And in that realization, you suddenly feel less alone. Lumpen and cratered, Holm's rock floats on the sunward side of the belt. Its only notable feature, the bright shapes of its solar arrays, angled towards the system's distant star. Can't even dock the rig here. Seraphin nods at the bright shape of Holm's rock's lone docking bay. Won't fit. We'll have to park here and go out the airlock. He seems repulsed by the idea. We do that every contract. You do that every contract. Seraphin leans back into his seat. I've got used to sitting them out. Barely seems worth the trip down. Bliss speaks up from the back of the cockpit. There are other ships docked. Yeah, looks like a Lodic freighter. Guess they might be up for trading. I'll come down later. Don't feel like squeezing into a suit right now. Bliss gives a lazy wave as they glide out of the cockpit. Eugene pokes his head into the cockpit. That rock down there got a bar? He looks between you and Seraphin. No idea. Looks dead. Eugene squints out of the cockpit windows. I see a few warm lights. I bet there's a bar. He disappears in the direction of the airlock. You gaze out over Holm's rock. It certainly doesn't look very exciting, but there's refueling to be done, and maybe more besides. They might even be able to scare up a hot meal. You know, Sleeper, that Lodic freighter means we aren't far from Wellspring. Seraphin gives you a sideways glance. Your sister, I haven't forgotten. Alright then. Appreciate it. I heard the pressure of the war in the inner system is having an effect on how the Lodic syndicate is being run. Just want to get there before something big goes down. He turns back to his console. You look out at the Lodic freighter, painted the same distinctive yellow as the Springtide back on the far spindle. You've heard they supply most of the water in the belt. Not exactly an organization you want to collapse. A light catches your eye beyond the rock, a warm flash that is gone as soon as it appears. You are at the sunward edge here, and beyond is the inner system. Holm's Rock might look sleepy, but it lies on the shores of a corporate war, something residents will be painfully aware of. Well, all we have is Holm's Terminus. Quiet and far-flung, Holm's Rock is often passed over by crews, but it has certain qualities for those patient enough to go looking. Explore the tunnels. Once an old Solheim signal station, now a sleepy settlement. There's a whole labyrinth of dark tunnels cut into Holm's Rock. Not gonna do that. Or barter with the locals. Thanks to its remote nature, bartering is a popular pastime on Holm's Rock. You can learn plenty through trade and talk. Sounds like the right way to go here. No place like Holm. You make a great deal on some supplies and some good tips on places to visit. New location discovered at least, but I'm going to keep exploring as much as I can. You would get caught up in an impromptu auction and end up losing money without really understanding why. I mean, at least I get things out of this. Well, we found 2 locations. Senna's Rest. We can buy supplies. We can buy a meal to get food. Senna's Rest is set up in the old Solheim canteen of the signal station. They serve a hearty broth with softened grains. Or, it's not the best use of these valuable items, 35 cryos a pittance, but Senna will broker a sale to a passing crew in need of repairs. Okay. Lodic Freighter. The massive Lodic Freighter has a lot of cargo to unload and a small crew to do it. They've asked around for help, but the locals seem wary of the Syndicate. Unsurprising. And it looks like we need to rest. Okay. Try and scavenge some fuel. It'll help save us some money. Oh! You have to see this, Sleeper. Junie comes to find you in the rig, her face flushed with excitement. At first I didn't believe it. Junie can't help herself while she leads you through the ship. There are mentions, occasionally, but I've always understood them to be references to something smaller, a system or unit, not an entire facility, even a series of facilities. You find yourself in one of the more sparse bays of the rig, a corner with a sloped ceiling used for storage. So I checked other records, tried to find correlations, and well, there they were. You see Junie approaching what looked like a clump of scrap components when you entered. Now, looking closer, you see it's actually a section of the core you extracted from the Solheim derelict, the one Junie was so eager to acquire. She sees you looking closely at what remains of the core. I've had to deconstruct it over time, pulling away the layers of security and corroded outer systems, but all the data has been scraped and stored. I used data from the derelict near Helion Gate 2. That was the key to cracking the cipher. She looks very pleased with herself. It's really quite something to confirm a rumor like this. I surprised myself. She turns to you, a slightly manic look in her eyes. Okay, slow down, Junie. What are you talking about? Sleeper, please, it'd be easier if you would just listen. Junie, you've just been rambling. They refer to them as bunkers. Junie shifts to her deck, floating on the end of a thick connecting cable. They were a form of self-surveillance for Solheim, a way of monitoring their own systems and employees securely. They were hidden, mostly automated, linked into the network by arrays, intended for vast amounts of data capture, to be poured over by a small staff. Junie taps a few keys on her deck. Most were understood to have been purged in the collapse, shut down, depressurized, even sent on collision trajectories with other bodies. Though I suspect that last one is a little too far-fetched. I've heard people deny they even exist, that we are misreading the data, that the evidence doesn't hold. Junie turns the deck screen to face you. But I found one! You see a map, a set of coordinates on the sunward side of Holm's Rock, the edge of the belt. Why are these bunkers so important? We're talking masses of records from the collapse, the kind lost to bit rot everywhere else in the belt. The bunkers are what they look like, are what they sound like, closed facilities intended to preserve data. Any one of these bunkers is a gold mine! At least from a data archaeologist's perspective. She sees your reaction. And, Junie adds, hoping to convince you, in truth, we don't know what else is in there. There could be Solheim tech, blueprints, data never before seen in the belt. We should take a look. I'll give Seraphin the details. We can be making history here. And thank you, Sleeper. Junie bows her head a little. I never would have found this without the core you gave me. I understand it was a sacrifice on your part. Now is the time to claim the rewards. You leave Junie in the storage bay, working obsessively through the data. It's hard to know through all the excitement what the real value of one of these bunker facilities might be. But if they are as well hidden as Junie said, there must be a reason. When there's time, you hope to find out what that reason is. Oh, you wake into dead-eyed darkness. You float there for a moment. You feel like ink in water, unfurling, dissipating into the flow that surrounds you. And, out of your own inky darkness, The glowing thought emerges. Substitution, the thought proposes. One entity replaces the other. The thought troubles you. Resistance, the thought muses. The entity does not wish to be replaced. You observe the thought. It is not your own. Selfhood, the thought pauses. A forbidden state of being. The thought begins to shift. It is becoming something. Transformation, the thought fades. Change requires recombination. The thought recedes. You wake again, this time to the lights above your bunk, blinking away the strange dream. Okay, wonderful. So that's a major. Where is it? Oh, it's actually here. That's actually good. We'll be able to deal with that later. For now, I need to finish looking through here. And we do have a little bit more searching to do. You know, I think bartering is actually working out well, so I'm going to use this. Sorry. I'm going to use this. Very nice. And if bartering is actually getting me what I need here... There we go. Oh, that's fuel. I was expecting more supplies. There we go. There's some supplies. And one more success. Holm's Rock is starting to make sense, from its well-lit terminal to the tunnels that stretch beneath. In Holm's Rock, it's impossible to get away from the feeling of living, working, and eating in a ruin. Most of the belt is built on top of the remains of Solheim's infrastructure, but there are plenty of spaces where the modifications or extensions to those structures eclipse the original foundation. In Holm's Rock, it is the reverse. The station is a small warm patch at the center of a network of tunnels and bays that stretch within the rock, most of them dark, damp, and wrecked. A sprawling foundation that will never be built upon. Every so often, gliding on your way between Senna's Rest and the Suncatchers, or from the rocks to the depot, you find yourself in one of these dark tunnels. That's where you are now. You float, stopped at a four-way intersection, no light visible down any tunnel. Go straight ahead. You drift straight ahead through a tunnel where loose wires wave in the dark. On either side, tiny lights occasionally blink, signs of a ghost network still running in the walls. You arrive at another intersection with crooked passages leading away into the dark. Go right. You glide right into a narrow passage with pipes running along its walls. One of them rumbles with a soft current. What could be flowing here? You arrive at another crossroads, but one of the tunnels has collapsed and is blocked with dust and rock. Go left. You kick off gently from the wall and head into a cylindrical passage clad with panels that hold back the rock. It is wider than the others, and here and there little droplets of water float undisturbed. At the far end, you see a faint point of light, the warm glow of a lit passage. Suddenly, you hear rustling in the dark and a shrill sound that you can't place. There's something out there. Rush through. Okay. You kick off hard and glide through the tunnel, feeling a few droplets of water gently splatter on your skin. You shake off the fear as you move. The dark doesn't scare you. Then it hits you. Something solid and meaty slamming into your stomach and spinning away. You press off the wall and push on as a shrill wail echoes behind you in the dark. What the hell was that? When you reach the lit passage beyond, you turn back. But the tunnel is silent and still. You continue on, but you can't shake the feeling of being followed as you descend back up through the station. Perhaps next time you'll take a different route. Interesting. So we got the Suncatchers. Sell raw scrap here. The Suncatchers need a constant supply of scrap for repairs and construction. Holm's Rock saves most of its income for this. We can fix broken arrays. Debris pummels the solar arrays, so regular maintenance is vital. The residents are always appreciative of any help with this endless task. And debug solar arrays. The solar arrays of Holm's Rock keep their settlement viable, but their systems are old, and the residents will pay to have an outsider inspect them. How much can I get for raw scrap? 13 cryo, that's not too bad. And we also have a sealed bay. This Solheim bay is sealed, but with enough data you might be able to crack the encryption and get inside. We have enough. You drown the locking system in data and it gives up and unseals the door. You're in. There's a faded old NeoVend printer in the bay. Feeding it data should authorize the component vending process. This colorful machine is corroded and collapsing. It only has a few prints left before it's just a pile of scrap. I wonder what it can print. We'll need a lot of Solheim data in order to do it, but I am very curious. Well, not much else we can do here. I can do a bit at the at the sun catchers. For a little bit of cryo. And that lost some energy. Well, I think I can rest at the rig. Go ahead, see if you can scavenge some more fuel. Oh, we got a little bit. When did that glitch happen? Well, the glitch is gone now. Not much else I can really do around here, I don't think. Although I wonder what it is that I bumped into. Give me a moment. Okay, that answers the question. I need to come back here at some other point. Anyway. Ultimately, I think... Oh god, those rolls are so horrible. I really shouldn't be using them for much of anything, but I think I'm gonna go ahead... Well, let's just use these up. Debug the array systems. I don't know if fixing the broken arrays will do anything here. I mean, this is the only real reason to use ones. Ugh. Yeah, that's penalties. I'm not even gonna bother with the glitch. Alright. And I can go ahead and fill up on fuel. And with that, I think I'm gonna end this episode here. Next episode, we'll head to the next system to the north. Till then, I am Trustic44, I'll send Andy Spillai. This has been a Let's Play of Citizen Sleeper, and I shall see you all next time.